Hello and welcome to episode 128 of the Skips View podcast. My name is Dean.
My name is Brett.
And my name is Sam.
We are coming off of a very exciting Red Sox Yankee game. We're coming off of the All-Star roster selections for pitchers and reserves. But I think the first thing we really need to talk about is me and my blog performance this week. Because if you look at the statistics of, not even including my Red Sox blog I just put out, my second blog in the past 3 hours, if you look at just my blogs from last Sunday to this Sunday, including the All-Star Snub blog that put out, that Brett didn't want me to put out, but already has 1.5 thousand website clicks. If you look at my performance in the past week, you have to take Brett's blogs from March till now to equal what I've done in 1 week. So we talk about analytics in baseball. I would think that WAR, I probably equate to like 10 WAR. Brett probably equates to like -7.5 WAR right now. Brett, thoughts?
You're an idiot. The amount of time you spent putting together that math probably didn't take you that long.
It didn't.
It's more just the sheer pettiness of doing that. But no, blog did hit. It was banger. I was listening to Market Foolery podcast on the market. Sam, I highly suggest it. Actually, good 20-minute thing. They were talking about symmetry, market symmetry, and being at the right place, right time, and that's what you've done this week. So nice job, and that's because you put in the time to, understand where you have to be in order to like have a banger like that. So good for you, good for the team, because this is a team effort, even with the slander
Brett.
over there,
Brett,
Kobe.
This is Summer Dean though. Dean,
Summer Dean.
Dean has put himself at high expectations, and he's doing it right now. But he has to continue this performance.
I'm blushing. All right, so let's move on. Let's move on to the first off code SeatGeek. We're sponsored by SeatGeek, so use code SkippersView at checkout for $20 off your first purchase. I bought tickets to the Red Sox for Tuesday night against Oakland. I'll be 3 rows back of home plate. Look for me on TV. I've been tweeting at them saying I'll throw out the first pitch. I'm not ruling it out yet that I'll do it, so I'll let you guys know. But use code SeatGeek, SkippersView at checkout. We'll just talk about the All-Star Snubs. That's going to be the central focus today. I have my blog that I put out, 1.5 thousand clicks so far. No big deal, biggest blog this year. But why don't we pass along to Brett? Why don't you give us your first one, then we'll jump to Sam's first one.
Yeah, Bryce Treanor. I thought this was a really clear-cut and obvious one. I thought the Brewers were a team. Obviously, they got William Contreras in. They also got Christian Yelich in. So they weren't a team. I think Bryce Treanor was one of those guys who unfortunately suffered for the teams that do require a player to get in. He's batting .290 essentially on the year. He's played 4 less games than Marcus Semien. I shouldn't compare him directly to Marcus Semien. I'm going to save that later for my other snub. But Bryce Treanor's second in the league in stolen bases right now. He's almost got 30 on the year. He's been a stud. I really feel really bad. Thought he should have got in. And his OPS for being a guy who hits 1-2 or 7-8 in the lineup, being right there at 760, I thought on top of all that, your stats are right on the screen for all those watching on YouTube. Yeah, I think this is a snub. I think it's a snub.
Yeah, I completely agree here, and I think, like you said, this is kind of one of those unfortunate things where, like, oh, somebody on the Rockies has to represent the National League, or someone on I guess the Pirates don't really have any bad players anymore. Just any bad team. But I actually kind of do like how baseball needs one representative from each team. It gets all 30 teams into sort of one spot on one night and one night only during the summer, and I think that's a lot of fun and really good for the game. It sucks for Treanor, and who knows, maybe someone will back out and he can kind of come in as a reserve because he absolutely deserves to be an all-star. And I really think, he kind of came out of nowhere this season. A lot of people are writing him off, including myself. And, I mean, look at those stolen base totals, almost 30 stolen bases. His OPS has dipped down a little bit this season, but he's still playing really good defense, and he's still just a pure top-of-the-order bat on a really good Brewers team this year. So I like this pick a lot. I think he was totally snubbed, sort of propelling into my snub, and I sort of am a little bit passionate about this one just because I really like Francisco Lindor. I think he's an overhated player, and just another sort of knock on him. He's not an all-star. He's 13th in F4 in the entire league right now. Every single player above him in 12 is an all-star, so the top 12 players in F4 are all-stars. I think he absolutely deserves to be one. Yeah, you could sort of argue that, they don't really care about defense. Like, you're here to see the offense play. This is a premier shortstop. He plays a premier position. Shortstop is such a hard position to master, and he's probably the best defensive shortstop in the game. I mean, he has 8 outs above average. It's the top 97th percentile of the league. I mean, you can't get your best defensive shortstop in the entire league into the All-Star game and playing for at least one inning. 15 home runs, 45 RBIs, 16 stolen bases. So it's not like he's not producing offensively either. And this is a name too. Like it's not like a Bryce Treanor or someone else who got snubbed. And this is a guy that people are going to want to come see play. And he plays for a big market team in the New York Mets. Everyone knows who the Mets are. I just think this was a bad job by Major League Baseball by not letting this guy play.
So I think that I'm going to pull up actually the person who shouldn't be on the team. I think Luis Arias getting on the team over Bryce Treanor and Francisco Lindor, just because Arias leads the league in hit. He leads the league in hits. I get that, but he's accumulated one B WAR. He's got a 107 OPS plus. He's like an average player and
terrible defender. Statistically, one of the worst defenders in the entire league.
And you have Treanor and Lindor, who I think both deserve to be over Arias by a lot. However, take into account that Mookie Betts is hurt and Betts got the call. So my guess is either Lindor or Treanor replace Betts. So there's a chance you have at least you're definitely gonna have at least one, I think, if not both of those guys still end up being an all-star. I think Luis Arias, just to kind of like talk about the guys that we don't think deserve to get in. I don't think he deserved to get in, especially over the players that we're talking about. So just putting up his stats here real quick. Again, you're looking at a guy with he's batting .315. He's got 727 OPS, 23 RBIs, 2 home runs. Prior to going to San Diego, he was a below average hitter at the beginning of the season with Miami until that trade happened. Moving on to, I guess we'll do one of my guys. Let's do, what do you want to do? I know who we want to do.
Let's hear it.
I think in my comments, Bryce Treanor was probably the second player that was talked about most. And it's because I actually didn't mention Bryce. I did not mention Bryce Treanor initially in my blog. But the guy that was talked about the most was, as I share my screen, Christian Walker.
Oh, yeah, he was snubbed.
So
it's absurd. It's absurd he's not in. And Pete Alonso in over him, I get it. He's a bigger name than than Walker, excuse me. And he's going to be in the home run derby. But I mean, I'll let you take it away with Walker. I'll let you take it away.
The one thing I wanted to say was Pete Alonso came out and said that he's doing the home run derby, right? And then it came out that the only way he was doing the home run derby was if he got called to the All-Star game, like if he was on the All-Star team. So I find it a little ironic that they haven't been able to get people to do the home run derby. They have what? Gunnar Henderson and who? Is there anyone else?
Pete Alonso.
Alec Bohm.
I know. Alec Bohm.
You don't think
because people are coming out to see
when you think Alec Bohm.
And he's having a great season, but people aren't coming out to see Alec Bohm, right? So Pete Alonso puts out over MLB's head and ESPN's head, yeah, I'll do the home run derby if I'm elected to the All-Star game. All of a sudden, he gets called for the All-Star game, totally undeserving. Sorry, Kevin. An hour later, he's like, all right, I'm doing the home run derby. Anyone else smell collusion?
It's 100% what it is. I mean, usually by now you feel like you would get the entire field, or at least maybe 6 out of the 8 guys. And I could go on a home run derby tangent for a little bit. I think they're kind of ruining it with the clock. I really liked the outs format. I thought there was nothing wrong with it, and they should stick with it. But it's absolutely the reason why he's in my opinion. I mean, you look at Walker's stats across the board. He owns Alonso in everything. WAR, R-WAR or F-WAR, you name it, he owns it. OPS. I mean, he's the best player on the Diamondbacks.
He's the best player on their team. Yeah, Corbin Carroll's terrible this year.
22 home runs, 64 RBI.
This is second home run of the year, or third home run of the year. Christian Walker is 23.
I know, I'm just saying.
Corbin, we like Corbin Carroll defenders here, but I mean, like, Look at his stats: 22 homers, 64 RBI, 853 OPS. This guy's 33 years old, and he's really kind of been flying under the radar for a while now. He's sort of bounced around teams early on in his career. He's found a home in Arizona, and I think he should absolutely represent them. There's no reason for him not to be in. So this is pretty ludicrous in my opinion, but I also agree with you. I didn't really even think of it, but it makes total sense now that Alonso hung that over MLB's head, just to get the nod. He's totally undeserving of it, but he is
100%.
he is a fun home run derby watch. I'll give it to him. He's won the
Yeah,
derby twice. He's gonna sell derby tickets, and this is all about money.
and that's that. Yeah, again, I like Pete. I don't dislike Pete Alonso, but I just think this is egregious. And then when it came out that he's only going to do the home run derby if he did the All-Star game, I don't know. It's like Clay Holmes getting picked by the commissioner's office. All right, let's just move on to Josh Smith. Either of you guys can take this away. Brett, you had it on your list.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier because I slipped up with Marcus Semien here. I don't mean to come after Marcus Semien make it, but the guy I thought that should have made it from the Rangers, considering everything they've been through in this, I don't even know if we want to call it a World Series hangover. I think that is the proper way how to describe what's going on with the Rangers this year, or at least it feels that way. But Josh Smith, if you look at all the counting stats, they're all comparable. I think Marcus Semien's winning in most of them by a little bit. It's not like a big difference. But Josh Smith has a 60-point batting average better than Marcus Semien on the year. And they've played 4 games apart. One played 87, one's played 83. So it's not like Josh Smith hasn't been playing as much as Semien. I think Josh Smith got snubbed a little bit here. He's been carrying the boat for the Rangers and been a consistent bat for them when they've lacked it due to injury and performance all year. So that's all I have to say about Smith. Obviously, I know you wanted to talk about him too a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you here too. He's absolutely snubbed. It's a popularity contest at this point. I mean, Dean was getting ready to prepare his blog about All-Star Snubs before the All-Star rosters were even finalized or even came out. This is an every year type of thing now at this point in Major League Baseball, where at least 6 or 7 players who are well deserving of it are going to get snubbed in, and those stars, those big names that people come to watch, who aren't having the greatest of seasons. Like Marcus Semien is one of them. You know, he's a big player on that World Series team, but guess what? That was last year. He's not having a great season. So I don't know if Major League Baseball needs to change the way that they do this sort of thing, but as long as they control who's in this All-Star game in terms of reserves and stuff like that, they're always going to choose the big name over the other guys. And that's kind of just why I was a little bit confused on the Lindor thing. But this is just a classic case of, you're going to take Marcus Semien over. I mean, Josh Smith steps up to the batter's box in the 8th inning, and even if the All-Star game's in his home field, there are going to be Rangers fans at that game. Like, who's this dude?
Yeah,
we have this dude.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I have forgotten that Josh Smith has existed about 10 different times throughout this season, and every time Brett or you mention him, I'm like, is he really? Is he the guy? Is he on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
It's a great story. I mean, this is a guy who I personally wrote off too, just like Terang this year. I thought he was kind of fizzling out. He didn't really have a good 22 or 23 year, and he's kind of come out of nowhere and been a really good player for them ever since Jung went down. He seems like a really nice guy too. I mean, total sidebar, but his wife always comes up on my TikTok For You page, like always.
Okay, all right.
Why is that?
I don't know, dude. I don't know. You say you make your own algorithm, so I don't know what I'm up to. But I'm gonna pivot to Jordan Westberg, and I don't know if Dean can throw up Jordan Westberg stats for us to see. But if those viewers over here, while we're waiting, you can sort of pan over to Josh Smith's wife and kind of take a look at her TikTok. It's him and Austin Gomber, man. It's him and Austin Gomber's wife is all over my For You page too.
That's unbelievable. So random.
So random. But Jordan Westberg deserves to be an All-Star. 14 home runs, 49 RBI. He's a 834 OPS. I could go on. He's a huge part to this Orioles team that looks like they might run away with the East. but don't get me started on the Red Sox. That might run away with the East by mid-August. They're just that good of a team, and he's a key cog, and he's a young guy. He's kind of a fun player too. Again, he's not really a big name, and again, he might come in as a reserve or as sort of a pinch hitter, quote unquote, if someone gets hurt or doesn't want to play. But I mean, look at Westberg's numbers. He's been a really rock steady player all year long. He plays really good defense too, so I think he deserves to be in.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was gonna say I was surprised that the fans didn't get him voted in, but he's just not.
Is it because he's gotten enough at bats? It looks like too. Yeah, I'm just
Yeah,
trying to
but
see if there's a reason
again,
why.
well, just Devers and
Yeah.
Jose Ramirez are just
And J Ram's having a great year, and Devers just
Ho-
again against the
Devers,
Yankees showed why.
Devers is having a better year than
He
Jose
is log
Ramirez.
jammed. He is log jammed at his position, but I mean he's 23rd in the league in F4 right now. So I mean he's one of the better players in the league, but it's probably just not his time yet. Honestly, I mean you're still going to give Devers and J Ram the nod as long as they keep hitting. So
Yeah.
I guess I don't really have that much of a problem with it positionally.
Westberg is in a tough spot. He's 25. He's only 2 years younger than Devers, and this is his first real season. He's gonna be in the shadows for a while. All right, let's just wrap up here with kind of the guys I listed on the blog, www.theskippersview.com. I think this blog has outperformed Brett's last 5 blogs combined. So we got Gavin Stone, which Brett, I'll pass that along to you because I know you wanted to talk about Gavin Stone. I'll mention his stats real quick: 1.7 WAR, 3.03 ERA, 131 ERA plus, and 119 WHIP.
Yeah, Gavin Stone, another guy that I think in my head just gets the nod due to the situation. The Dodgers, whether people want to admit it or not, no one feels bad for them because they have a ridiculous amount of talent through their farm system, as well as they have been able to, buy essentially arms for them. But Glasnow and Gavin Stone have been the two arms that have been pitching essentially so well that it has held down the fort for the Dodgers this year. Yamamoto's been banged up. Everyone knows that Kershaw has been on the IL all year. Buehler returned from Tommy John just, not recently, but fairly recently. And it's returning from Tommy John, a serious injury, as we all know. So, no guarantees that he's ever going to get back to what he was. And, for me, it just Stone, not only did he have a rough year last year in the majors every time he came up, he is really transformed himself into a much more effective pitcher here. So I really like what he's done for the Dodgers. And it seems like on my fantasy team every day he gets a quality start. He goes 6 innings. Yeah, I love that about him. He does it all the time. It's a big thing for me, and I think this is a little snubby for Gavin Stone, unfortunately.
I gotta give you some credit here, Brett. You've kind of been on Stone. It seems like since even maybe a little bit in spring training.
His
But I
changeup's
mean,
unbelievable.
yeah, no, I mean the stuff plays, and he's finally put it all together this year, and it's really good to see. But this is a really sneaky important pitcher for the Dodgers right now. I mean, they have gone all in clearly. Ohtani, Freeman, Betts, Will Smith, Muncy, you name it. I mean, this is their year. We've been saying it for the past few years, and he's really carrying this pitching staff that's sort of depleted right now with injuries and some age. So he has been such an important piece to this Dodgers team. I think the Dodgers don't have any problem with this snub, just as long as they still have him healthy. Just because that's how badly they low key need him. Just because he's starting every 5th day, like you said. He's kind of been a quality start machine. He's going to give him 6 and keep him in the game, let in 2 or 3 runs maybe every start. But who cares? This offense is going to put up 5 or 6 at that point, anyways, on pretty much any given night. So this is a really big snub. And speaking about snubs, it's kind of funny because the Phillies pitching staff is so good, right? And like Dean said here, Aaron Nola snubbed. Wheeler got in, probably blocked Nola from making it, but he's still very deserving. I mean, 1.6 WAR. He's got 10 wins on the mound, 3.4 ERA, 1.16 ERA plus. He's sort of like Gavin Stone. He's not flashy. He's got stuff, but he doesn't really have any aura or anything special about him. But man, I mean, he's kind of like flown under the radar almost in this like really good Phillies rotation with this sort of three-headed monster and Ranger Suarez, Wheeler, and now Christopher Sanchez, who's emerged. So it's sort of interesting to see how Nola is having a really good year, but he's not really getting the credit for it.
Yeah, next, the other pitcher I have is Ronald Blanco, who him and Tanner Houck, the only pitchers in the American League this year, throw complete game shutouts. Blanco's was a no-hitter. He has 2.9 WAR, 2.53 ERA, 156 ERA plus, and a 101 IP, 101 WHIP. So I would say amongst maybe next to Christian Walker and Francisco Lindor, Ronald Blanco is the biggest snub that we have so far. And I'm just going to run through these real quick because this is going to be kind of like a quick episode just highlighting this. Connor Wong, I think that's a little home biased on my part. I think Sam would agree. I kind of wanted to highlight the season he's having. He's not getting enough at bats to really warrant being on the All-Star team, but I just don't think Salvador Perez deserves to be the backup to Adley Rutschman, and Logan O'Hoppe is the guy I think it should be. He's played 13 fewer games than Perez, and he has about the same stats. He's actually higher in a lot of categories. He's accumulated 2.3 WAR, 279 batting average, 12 home runs, 40 RBIs, and a 122 OPS plus. I think, Sam, to what you were saying, how the MLB, they want to have those big names. Salvador Perez is a big name. They're going to take him over Logan O'Hoppe. Another guy who, frankly, I'm shocked he's not in, Brent Rooker. Rooker is the 8th ranked American League player in terms of OPS. He's ahead of Carlos Correa, and these are all All-Stars. Carlos Correa, Riley Green, who I'm glad got in, Jose Ramirez, Vlad Jr., Jose Altuve, I can't remember who he was in, Jaron Duran, Josh Naylor, Adley Rutschman, and Salvador Perez. He's got 2.2 WAR, 155 OPS plus. I mean, again, this is another huge, not huge name, but huge over whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's a big snub, and like you said, he's not a huge name. I do have a feeling he might become a bigger name and a lot more recognizable this coming postseason because I do think he's going to get traded to some sort of contender. Just because who doesn't love a power bat? Yes, he strikes out a lot. Yes, he can't really play defense very well. But these contenders are sort of in these positions where you can kind of buy whoever you want, and with Rooker, you're going to buy a bat that is going to be really good. And I mean, credit to him. I wrote a blog about him a couple weeks ago on how he was a late bloomer, and that's sort of why not really a lot of people know his name. But keep going with Anthony Santander.
Yeah, Anthony Santander, he's I think he's top 5 in home runs right now. 13 home runs in June, 1.7 WAR, 126 OPS plus. He's really helped the Orioles kind of be in first place. He's someone that I thought was a snub. And then Christian Walker, who we already talked about at length. So for me, I think for all of us, those are the guys that we felt got snubbed. Guys who don't deserve to be on the team. I think the only one I'm going to mention really right now is Clay Holmes. It's insane that he's on the team over Craig Kimbrell and Kenley Jansen. I've spoken poorly about Kenley Jansen this season, and I have to eat my words on it. He's played great, just got the save against the Yankees. So if there's someone who deserves to not be on the team, it's Clay Holmes. Anyone else for you guys?
Quiet snub. Hunter Gaddis. If you want to pull up Hunter Gaddis, Gaddis, Guardians reliever, just has better numbers across the board than a guy like Clay Holmes. And again, I mean, I don't even know if you guys know who this guy is.
I know Gaddis. He's a setup man. He was a starter for them like last year, 2 years ago, and they converted him into a reliever.
Yeah. I mean,
I had him in fantasy for a little bit.
Honestly, like, he's a pretty fun name to watch. Like, I guarantee. I mean, look at his WHIP, 0.71. It's absurd. A 1.28 ERA over 44 games. Mind you. This dude is really important for Cleveland. And yes, Cleveland isn't a big market team and they don't have a crazy rich history of winning. But dude, I mean, look at his numbers. Like this guy totally deserves to get in. And it's just kind of a shame that like guys like this will never really get a chance in Major League Baseball because, again, everyone knows who Clay Holmes is, but no one really knows who Hunter Gaddis is. But Hunter, if you're listening to Skipper's View right now, shout out. We appreciate you.
Love that.
Brett, anyone else you got to wrap this up?
No, all good. I think we defended the guys that we, definitely. I'll say this: helped my fantasy team, Bryce Treanor and who else got snubbed that we talked about today? Oh my goodness, Gavin Stone. Yeah, both of them. they're both heroes of mine, so I'm really upset for them. But
Hey, it's just gonna
yeah,
feel their fire for a second half, so
yeah, exactly.
you'll be good. Also, before we go, quick note. Um, I don't know where you guys stand on this, but I think it's absolutely despicable that the players don't wear their current uniforms to the
Oh,
All-Star games with a patch.
the
It looks like
uniforms are
they're wearing
disgusting.
company softball jerseys year in and year out, and
The
Major
uniforms are
League Baseball
disgusting.
needs to go back to it.
I agree with that. You've gotten a lot of love. But again, Sam, great tweet before on your snubs. I think that got it was up to like 50,000 impressions, maybe like 1,000 likes at this point. So kudos there. Anything else you guys have this week? I'll be at the Red Sox game Tuesday night, so I'll be highlighting that.
Nothing much. I mean, I'm gonna keep grinding. It's a big coming few weeks with the MLB draft. Is a week from tomorrow, and then or a week from today. I'm sorry. And then obviously the trade deadline is huge for not only impressions but just the way we watch baseball. A lot of stars are going to be moved around, I think, and it's just a really fun time to be a baseball fan.
Yep. Brett?
You said it. No, you said it. The only thing I do want to give a shout out to Jose Miranda. 12 straight at bats with a hit. You get credit even though this is an All-Star Snubs episode. That's awesome. Matches the MLB record. That's about it. He matched it with Red Sox Pinky Higgins. I don't know if you guys know him. I've never even heard of him. Tigers Walt Tropo, and then a Cubs player named Johnny Kling. So there's only
when you match with guys named like Piggy, like
Pinky, Pinky.
You know you're breaking some sort of absurd record because these guys.
So it happened in 52, 38, and 02. So like one of the three guys did this over 122 years ago. One other guy did it about 100 years ago. And then the next one's like 80 years ago. It's a crazy thing to do.
Nuts.
But that's about it for me.
Go look at everybody's John Downburner, Deb Mays, Tomahawk, his Tomahawk podcast for the Braves. Will Massa with Overduel Sports. He's been putting out stuff every single day, pretty much. They had a great mock draft, which that's on the website on one of my blogs, the top MLB picks. You can go there. Sam was on that. That got about 1,000 views on YouTube. So just keep looking on the Skipper's View. Everyone's on the top. You can just go into their stuff and see what everyone's doing. All right. Bye.